Welcome to Power User with Crash Long Johns. That's me. Today's topic is SharePoint news posts and news links with a rating of novice. Let's get started and jump over to the computer. Now that we're at the computer, we'll once again be at our communication site here, and we're going to start with creating a news post. So we're going to go to the new, drop that down, and select News Post. In the news post area, we got blank, visual, and basic text templates. And we're going to just pick the basic text, and we're going to go hit Create Post. We're going to give this a name, News Post Illustration number 6. And you can also show who the actual author is, or you can also delete that out. It's your preference. And then from here, you're just going to lay out your news post just like you would any other page. So you can change the sections, add different web parts. A lot of this you could take out. Just the template just helps you kind of get a start. You can, if you do have comments allowable with your organization, you can keep them on or turn them off. And then from here, you also then have some page details that you can look at. So you can select a thumbnail or change the thumbnail. Also, you can change this particular image by going into Edit Web Part, actually into the Change Image. Sorry about that. And then you can pick stock images, etc. From the page details, we have the intro description. A lot of times once you actually save or publish, the description is going to default whatever the first web part is and what information's in there, up to 255 characters, but you can actually change what that description actually is and set that to whatever you need it to say. Properties, we got the name of the actual news post. You'll see that there is a type of news. Now this is because I already have a column created in Pages, in Site Pages, that actually is named type of news, and it's got some categories. In the previous video, you saw that how we were using that for the news post web part, news web part, to actually have it where could filter. So we're just going to tag this as action. So that's saved. Once you get your page or your news post set up exactly how you want it, what you can do, you can either, if you still need to figure out hey, what's going to work best, you can save as draft. Once you're ready to actually have it where it's going to go live and be posted, then you would just post news. So we're going to go ahead and just save as draft. So now it's in draft. Now let's actually look at pages, or basically site pages. And if you don't see it in your navigation, you can go to the cog settings and do site contents. In site contents, you'll see site pages. And now we're at site pages. And these are the pages created. Now they range from pages and also news posts. So right now we see there's our news post illustration number 6. And let's actually pull up, let's get some columns so that way you can see kind of you already see I have type of news. Let's add a column because we're going to do another column so that way we can filter upon that, and we'll make it a choice. And let's just say origin, and we'll say US, UK, Japan as examples. And this one, we're not going to have where it's multiple. We're just going to have it's one or the other. Save that. So now we have an origin column. We're going to also add a couple more columns, but in this case, we're going to click the Show Hide columns. In here, there's already some columns that are out of the box, and the couple that I want to point out is definitely promoted state and first published date. So if you check those and at the top, hit apply, that'll make them visible. Now what you'll see is you see when they were actually first published, and in this case, our news post illustration number 6, you see that there is no first published date yet. Promoted state, you'll see 0, 1, and 2. For 0, what that is representing is it's a page. A 1 and a 2 are around news posts. 1 is it's a news post that has not been published yet, and 2 is a news post that has been published. So right now we see that, hey, our news post illustration number 6 is still shown as a 1, and there's also no first published date. If we go ahead and go back to our news post and go ahead and post the news, and if we go back to pages, you'll see now that it has a promoted state of 2 and the first published date today, 7/4 at 10:56. Now let's look at the origin here, and we're going to do kind of a quick, instead of going into each page, just going to click a couple here. So I'm going to check mark these 2 anime action ones, and I'm going to do this little circle I for the details pane, and I'm going to do the origin, and let's say that's Japan, and we're going to save. So now it's added those, and let's actually add this one that's just plain old action. I'm going to do the origin, say UK, and then we're going to select horror, and we'll say that that one's going to be US. All right, so we got some now that have basically have a category for the origin and also the type of news. In our previous video, we were dealing with our news web part. So we're going to go ahead and edit this page. So now you can see how this again all plays together based on from our previous video, but now that we have, gave you a little bit more understanding of creating news posts and then also creating those columns. So if I go edit web part and I go back down here to the filter and I say, okay, page properties, I want the type of news, and let's say it equals, and let's say anime. Okay, let's add a filter, and let's say page properties, and the origin, say it equals Japan. So we have anime, type of news is anime, and the origin equals Japan. We switch over and go back to our site pages. We see that we have anime and Japan. There are only 2, and it's number 3 and number 4. If we go back to our home, we'll see that anime and Japan, we got 3 and 4. So what this is saying, this filter is saying, we're looking at page properties, type of news equals anime, and page properties, origin equals Japan. And that will give you basically, again, that filtering from, now this is only showing right now just anything that's anime and Japan. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to here to our home, and right now we're going to transition over to touch on news links. Now let's look at creating a news link. So on our home of our site collection, we're going to go ahead and click that new again, drop down, we're going to click News Link. It's going to pop up where we're going to supply a link. We're going to paste in a link, and it's from YouTube. And we have a preview image, which we could change. There's also a title, which we can get a little bit of that cleaned up. So we're going to take a little bit of this. There we go. Description. We can also adjust. And then we can then also this go ahead and post, or we can edit news link details, which we're going to go ahead and add those news link details. Pops us over to the news link page. And in here, let's look at the page details. So now that we got the page details open, it's just similar to a news link. So it's got the type of news column, and we're just going to say this is going to be some action. And then origin, we'll just kind of say UK for now, even though it's actually more in France, but we'll just pick UK because don't have France as an option. And now that we have Action UK, and we feel that, hey, everything's good, you can again save as the draft. So that way until you're ready to post, or just go ahead and post the news. So we'll go ahead and post the news. So that's been posted. We go to pages. Again, it takes us to our site pages and site contents. You'll see that we have our news link. You can tell it's promoted date 2, again means it's been published. It has our first published date. Now if we go back to home and we go down to our news web part, we don't see that. But if we hit edit real quick, and let's edit that news web part. And this time let's just say that we actually take out some filters here and just get rid of these filters. You'll see that there is our news link. If we actually change the properties and say type of news is equal to action, and our page property and our origin is equal to UK, we then have only the news articles that are action and UK. We're going to go ahead and just republish the page real quick. So now there's our news link. If I actually click on this link, it's going to actually open up the YouTube video. So that is the news link. So we covered basically how to create that news post and also news link. Did a little coverage of the column to add to show for promoted state, and also touch base a little bit on doing again that filtering and based on the various columns that you create to help filter out your particular news post in certain different ways. As we go along, we're going to get more into that because we will be getting deeper into creating lists and document libraries. So more to come on building your skills on column creations and filtering and things like that. Thank you for stopping by. Until next time, keep learning.